Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. Let's get started with our hosts, Linda McKissick and Dana Gentry.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. I'm Linda McKissick.
And I'm Dana Gentry.
Hi.
Hey, Dana, I'm super excited. We got a great guest today. So everyone welcome Mr. Dan Sullivan.
Hi, Linda. Hi, Dana. This is great. Thanks for giving me the time today.
Oh, truly our pleasure. Thank you. And we are big fans of your new book, Who Not How.
Oh my
and
God.
I have to tell you, Dan, the real estate world needs that message more than any other group of entrepreneurs, I believe. I think back in the late 80s, early 90s, I was one of the first people in the country to have an assistant. And it was like you had grown two heads. And we haven't moved very much farther along the scale yet. So I'm really excited about our topic today. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about you and your Who Not How book?
Well, I'm kind of a natural born coach. So I'm a member of a big family. I was one of 7 kids, and I'm the 5th child. And, fifth children kind of know something right off the bat. They're not number 1, they're not number 2, 3, or 4. And so I got an early feel in life that I could be useful to people. And you're kind of an observer when you're a late child. You're not the lead dog, and you're not the person who all the responsibilities are piled on. So you get kind of a spectator's view. And my dad was an entrepreneur. I mean, I grew up on a farm, and then he became a landscaper, very successful as a landscaper. And I was a big teamwork guy. Every sports team that was available, I joined the sports team, and any group or anything else, I was on teamwork. And so, I really loved teamwork. And plus that, when I got into the business world in my 20s and that, I'm not a great employee. I'm not the greatest person you'd want as an employee, because I'm always making observations how things could be done better. And finally, in 1974, I had been a writer in a big advertising agency, writing commercials, writing advertisements. And I just had this thought. This is going back 47 years now, that the marketplace was kind of going in a way that you could go out and you could be a coach to people. And in those days, you kind of had to explain what it was all about. But mainly what it is, I got an observation about people, how they're performing and how they seem to be going about their work. And I ask them questions of why they're doing that. And I had 1 client, then I had 5 clients, and then I had 20 clients, and then I had 50 clients. I started getting a feel of questions that really opened up people's thinking, to take a look, think about their thinking, think about how they were, how they were conducting their business. And I said, can you think of a different way of doing this? And gradually I got a real handle. It took me about 15 years, 1974 to 1989. I was a one-on-one coach. And then I met the person of my life in 1982, and this is my wife. So we've been married for 36 years, and we've been business partners for 36 years. And she was the perfect partner in every respect of my life. And but she runs the company, Linda. We have quite a big company. We have about 115 team members, and we're in 3 countries. But my big specialty is entrepreneurs who own their own business, or really independent salespeople, where they're really, they don't sell, they don't eat. That's my definition of an entrepreneur. And what I've observed about residential real estate, especially, that after you've learned the business, so I'm a great believer that the first couple of years you should just do everything that's required of you, so you get a 360-degree view. And then just say, where are the areas that I really love doing and I could do it all the time, and what don't I like doing? And then start finding other people, be successful enough that you can free up your time and you get other people. And it's a beautiful business if other who's are doing what you don't like doing, because they can do it every day, and you can just do what you love doing. And sometimes uh, um, there's real estate agents. Well, I'll let it go right there, and then you can make observations, Linda. You know, I'm a talker, so I don't want to get out of control here.
Yeah, no, I love it. We're here to hear you. And what comes to mind with me with realtors most of the time, and we've gotten better over the years. I've been in 30 plus years, and no one had assistants when I hired my first, and now we are having teams and things like that. But you say the word rugged individualism and why that's not a good thing. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because that's what a lot of realtors want to be.
Yeah, well, I think and I've had a lot of very very successful realtors over the year, and I remember one in particular, and he lived in Calgary, and he was in a company, a nationwide Canadian company, and he was in the top five, but there's one thing he hated. He absolutely hated. And the year before he came into the program, he had done about 90 sales, one side of the sale or the other. And that was a big deal. And they were affluent housing. It was upper scale neighborhoods. He was real good about that. And he said, but I just hate showing houses. He said, I just can't stand presentations. I just can't. He said, it drives me crazy. And I said, well, do you think there's somebody else? Are there other people who love doing that? And he says, well, I don't know. And I said, well, I'm sure they're out there. And what he got was, he got an actress, and, the definition of an actress is someone who spends 90% of their career unemployed, and, the 90% of the acting profession spends 90% of their time out of work. And I said, somebody who just likes front stage work, likes being is very gracious, his style, has the style you want, has the manner you want. So he just wrote up, he wrote up a really good description, put it, and he got about 20 responses in 24 hours. And then he interviewed them, and he found a woman, and he just got a limousine service. And, and she handled it. And the first year he went from 100 and I think it was 195 to 100 sales. The year before, he went up to about 180 sales, and he loved it. He said, I like doing the back work, arranging for the financing and everything. He said, I just can't stand, he said, I just can't stand that. And I said, well, I take that seriously. I said, you should only be doing the thing that you can help doing because you love it so much. That's the only thing you should be doing, because you don't need to get motivated to do that. The activity itself motivates it. And I would ask you, Linda, what you discovered about that, because you've gone way beyond being a rugged individualist realtor. I mean, you're someone who controls states now.
Well, Dan, I always say to someone when I'm talking to them, I say, I think every great entrepreneurial idea that I've ever clung on to and liked in my life, I actually probably originated with Dan. I just didn't know who Dan was then. Because to be honest with you, I don't know if that was Craig or not, but in Canada, that could be where all of us started getting buyer agents, because that came somewhere, and we all said, all of us that didn't like buyers, to work with buyers, because it's not enough leverage in your life, and we don't love the sociability piece of it, probably followed his footsteps and did that. So I'm going to now start giving you credit for all that, because now I think you probably were the one that originated it. Something else, for me, Dan, I've been blessed to be coached by Gary Keller for many years, and I think he was in your program a little bit early on too.
Yep.
Yeah. And he's always taught us about, the key people in your life and all that stuff. But what I think you've done is take our thinking to a whole new level when you talk about this collaboration thing. So talk a little bit about that, because I think it's even bigger than someone, just doing the things you don't like even.
I think there's a first stage to it, and that is that you get a great second person who compliments you, but they do we've grown, from just Babs and me and about two people to quite a good size. We're not a small company; we're a medium-sized company, and I do. I do about 50 workshop days a year, and I did that in person, and we've been doing it on Zoom. But our company does 500 workshop days a year, so that means that that 450 of them are by other people, and these are other coaches. And I don't hire these coaches, I don't train these coaches, I don't manage these coaches. As a matter of fact, I've never seen one of my coaches coach. I've never actually been in the room while they coach. And on average, we have 16 of them, and on average, they have 17 years experience. And so my attitude is that I'm good at creating new materials. I'm good at really listening deeply to what entrepreneurs, are saying about their life and what they want in their life. And I said, well, you got four things to work with. You have time, you have money, you have relationship, and you have purpose. Okay. Now, the first one you got to work with is you got to free up your time. You can't free up your money until you can free up your time. Okay. So can you get back 20 hours a week? Is there some activity that if you're doing now and it's your least favorite and it's 20 hours, can you get those 20 hours back? And they say, yeah, but it's a lot of, it's a lot of bother to kind of find the person. I said, well, just put the word out that you're looking for a person. You got to tell the world what you want. The world, the world doesn't respond to, hints. The world responds to direct messages. So you got to put out exactly what you want, what their attitude has to be, and you want someone who, once they take control, they really take control, but they have to love it. They have to love it, and then you work out a deal, and maybe the deal is for 3 months just to try it out, and it's not every day, every hours, but then you can work up to it, and if they love it, they'll want to make it their full-time job, and then you get freed up and you get those 20 hours back, and you say, now, if I could take these 20 hours and just focus on certain things, what would it be? And you'd say, well, there's a higher level that I'd like to get in real estate sales. And it wouldn't be another realtor who would tell me about this, but it might be a lawyer or accountant, lawyer or accountant. So this is where you go across the border, Linda, into another whole nother field. But they have the same kind of clients that you're looking for. They have the same kind of, buyers and sellers that you're looking for. So it won't be in your industry where the collaboration will be. It'll be accountant. It might be somebody who does mortgages. It could be a banker. In Canada, the big banks handle 85% of the mortgages, but in the United States, it's much more varied. So who are the people who are the mortgages there? So you put together a lawyer, an accountant, someone who handles mortgages, and even contractors. Even contractors can tell you things. Community leaders can tell you things. And so my sense is that you can create almost like a secret force out there by going across boundaries into other industries, and you're giving them leads too. It's reciprocal. It's not one way. It's reciprocal. And then all of a sudden, what I notice is that the really good people at this, they're competitors. It's a very competitive business. And but the competitors say, well, I don't know how they're doing what they're doing, because it just seems that they seem to have a balanced life. They seem to be, they seem to have a lot of interests, and yet they're getting sale after sale after sale. And I said, well, they've got some secret collaborations across boundaries, and they're all there. Every community has this, So that's where this is where the Who Not How, the book that we just published, and it's the best book we've ever written, and it's sold, 6 months we're at 130,000, which is a for a nonfiction book, that's really a big deal. And I didn't write a word of it. I mean, I came up with the idea. I had the ideas and I've tested the ideas in the program, but I have a writer who's a much better writer than I am. And I have a strategist to package the book. He did the deal with the publisher. Together, they found the publisher. And the whole deal, and we got a 10-year, 10-book contract now just because of the success of the first one. And I won't write a word of any of those books, but I am the author. My name's there. So and all the money from the book goes to the other side. I don't take any money from the books because people read the book and they sign up for our program, and we make good money on our registrations.
Dan, you're going to love this. I have to share this with you guys. You're going to die. So Linda, of course, introduced me to the book. I mean, hands down, just, I told Linda before this, I bet I bought 50 or more in the last 2 months because I give it to everybody. And while we were on here, I saw this flash across my screen just now. This is an agent that I gave it to last week in Indiana. And she sent me, can you see that? She sent me a picture. She's on vacation this week. And she just said, oh my gosh, I've been waiting the whole week to dive into this. And now I can't put it down. So she's got it on the beach right there with her. I know. I wanted to ask you, Dan, so one of my very favorite parts of the book is when you talk about the 10 ways to know your successful win. And it's, you know, when you wear a watch because you want to, when your passive income creaks, I don't remember all 10, but when you don't, my favorite was, I think, number 6, when you have no whiny people in your life, all of those. So how long did it take you to come up with all of those? When did you know throughout that these were the things that made you successful?
Well, as you get along, and, again, I stress that if every hour of your day is taken up and you don't have freedom, you're kind of a prisoner of your circumstances. And nobody's going to let you out, because you've gotten into this situation. So there's a kind of crucial step, and I'll explain my own life here, and it goes back to a particular date in 1978. It was August 15th, 1978, and I went through my divorce proceedings in the morning, and I went through bankruptcy proceedings in the afternoon. So 2 bad report cards on one day. The most important relationship in your life failed. Most important, occupational activity you've done in your life failed. So 2 bad report cards. And crucial day in my life. And long story short, it gave me, people really let you alone when you're both divorced and bankruptcy. They respect your privacy. They don't invite you to parties to talk about your divorce and bankruptcy. And so I had about 3 or 4 months just to think my way through. And I said, the reason why these 2 things happen is because I was expecting other people to tell me what I wanted. And I said, all the trouble, and I'm going to relieve, everything that happened with the 2 failures. I'm going to relieve the other side of all the responsibility, and I'm just going to take 100% responsibility for it. And I'm going to say, how do I really want it? How do I want to make my living? Who do I want to live with? What does my partner look like, and everything else? And I had about 4 years. Kind of making my way back, and I can make light of them right now, but it wasn't funny at the time. It wasn't pleasurable at the time. But I said, it's my deal, and if anybody's going to turn me around, I'm going to be the one that turns me around. And gradually, you start getting traction and you start making progress. And one of the things I did, everybody's kind of interested in this, I said, I'm going to get married again, but I'm not going to get divorced again. And what I said is, I'm not going to say who the person is, but I'm going to say what the relationship is. And so I described the relationship in one of the first ones. It wasn't a relationship that you had to work at. It was a relationship that just worked, And I did that in the third year, and to the date, and almost it was again in August. Important things happened to me in August, and I was at a conference, and I sat next to a person, and we kind of chatted, and there was kind of a click, but not a not a dramatic click or anything like that. And we'd have breakfast together, we'd have lunch together, and but in the meantime, I had my checklist in the background. I was going through my head, and we'd do this, and I come back and check, 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 and it was like, and to this day, I pinch myself every morning. I said, I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky. But on the other hand, this is what I wanted, and it showed up. So the same thing with how I wanted to work, and one thing, I'm not good at the running of an organization. I do not have good management skills. I have good coaching skills. I'm really creative. I'm a really creative person. I come up with new things. I can draw. I'm an artist. I'm a writer, and everything else. So we've created this partnerships. Babs runs the company, and I run the program. I'm the one who. So if you think of a live theater, you have the building, the live theater, and everything. As Babs is responsible for everything in the theater, I'm responsible for what's on stage. So I'm the director, the designer of what's on stage, and this has been now for as a company, we're in our 32nd year, and we've grown 280 times since our first year. So it's really grown, and we had a real interruption with COVID and so our entire business was in person, and we switched. And Linda, you'll remember, last March and April, we switched to Zoom, and I had used it, but the whole world, I mean, communication device is not useful unless the whole world is using it. And so within about 2 months, we had completely revamped the program. And Linda, you'd be interested. The last 4 months before March, so November, December, January, February, our registrations were higher than they were a year ago.
Yeah.
And it's all virtual. It's all virtual. Now we're planet wide. We're getting people signing up from Russia, from India, from and so
well, and I'll be on one of those Zooms with you tomorrow. I can't wait. I count the days. And you asked me what's the biggest thing I've gotten, because I did learn leverage early on, but where you've really taken my thinking to the next level, Dan, is your specificness on getting so clear and specific about your unique ability and putting people in spots that they're majority working only in their unique ability. That's a whole different level than just having an assistant who does everything.
Yeah, and the thing is, you want it self-managing. In other words, I think why entrepreneurs, realtors, don't want to delegate, because for them it's a big how. Now I got to think this through. Now I got to find the person. Now I got to train the person. Now I got to manage the person. Now I got to check up on the person. And it's they say, I'd rather work nights and work weekends than do this. This is not my favorite work. And I said, that's not what who, not how is. The person you pick, you're moving it up. You're moving it up. They have a far greater ability than you. You don't have to tell them how to do this. They know how to do this. And all you have to do is get agreement on what the results are going to be, and, and, other things like, they're good to work with, they have integrity, they're cooperative and everything. So Babs is incredibly better than me at running an organization. Gord Vickman, who's my podcast manager, he was a radio manager, a studio manager. He's been an online broadcaster. So I have a lot of podcasts. I like talking, and it's free. It's like you have a global radio with this. But Linda, what I've noticed is that your ambitions have gotten a lot bigger as you got in touch with your unique ability. That's what the biggest thing I noticed is that you just once you got clear about what, and this isn't going to change for the rest of your life. This, once you're in touch with your unique ability, this is it for life. So you can predict 10 years out, you can predict 15 years out, and it's just you playing a bigger and bigger game. That's what I think is happening.
Yeah, and it's just getting funner and funner, to be honest with you. I mean, I feel like it takes me a while. I'm kind of the slow learner in the class, but when it clicks in for me, man, I just see huge advances already starting to happen in the horizon, and it's just exciting. And there's nothing better than waking up every day doing what you've done for 30 years and being more excited than when you started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dan,
what have you, Dana, what have you noticed about Linda? I mean, you work with her and you've seen her. What do you notice that's, I mean, maybe there's a before and after, earlier. Have you seen that?
I would say Linda grows every day. She's probably the most learning-based, growth-minded person I've ever met, which is why I love being in her world, quite frankly. We used to always kind of say, we would laugh about it, but we would say, all these people that own these Keller Williams regions, not all of them, some of the people that own Keller Williams regions, you never see them. And I mean, every time there's an event or an opportunity to learn, Linda and Jimmy are right there in the front row. I would say lately she's been looking for and has found other who's in her life, and she's slowed down. And even though it was kind of a brutal process, I think Linda would say, she took the time to do it, and she's learned more about what she really wants in who's around her, which has been good. It's a great lesson for all of us to watch and to learn.
I mean, what have you, I'm a great learner from other people. I have favorite people who aren't even doing what I'm doing. They're doing something different. Yep. But the way they go about it is very inspirational.
Yeah.
And so I learn, from people in all sorts of fields, and not just living people who lived centuries ago. I just get a sense, I'm a builder, I like building foundations. Then once you have the foundations, you don't have to worry about it. And you talk about slow learning. I think you're a foundational builder, Linda, more than you're a slow learner. You got to make sure that everything is solid underneath you.
Yeah, definitely. It matters when you have clarity. Dana, we're about out of time, and you and I could talk to Dan forever, because Dan, I probably say your name on every single podcast that we have.
I have so many more. I have a whole list of questions.
Well, let's get in two, just to cap it off here. If it's good, people will listen longer. So, it's not like radio. You have to fill a particular time frame. I mean, that people will listen to you. So, gosh, Dana, do you have a question? Do you have it? Yeah.
Yep, I've got a bunch. Okay, let me pick my most pressing one then, and then Linda, you can take it home with the last one. Okay, well, let me ask you this, since we talked about this yesterday. So yesterday in a group that we did, we used the simplifier and simplified multiplier worksheet. What would you say, Dan, are the top 1 to 2 maybe positives and negatives about a simplifier and a multiplier?
Yeah. Well, what I've just observed over the years, because I've personally coached about 6,000 entrepreneurs in 46 years. And I notice, they're very different in personality. Some are extroverts, some of them are introverts, and, some of them are make it up on the spot people. Some of them are, do a lot of studying, and research before you do it. But I've seen 2 patterns that pretty well, when I describe it, people, they kind of nod. And I said, when you are presented with something new, or you get a new idea, what do you do with the idea? And a simplifier does one thing and a multiplier does another. A simplifier will go away by themselves, for a day or a week. And they'll say, well, the idea is interesting, but it's too complicated. You got to make this simpler. You got to, it's got 5 steps, and I can see you can do it with 3 steps. And that's what I am. I'm a simplifier. I'm a simplifier. So give me a new idea. I'll say, well, it's really interesting, but it's kind of complicated. And then I go away and I simplify it. A multiplier, when they get a new idea, they don't want to tamper with it at all. They say, I wonder who I should tell about this. They immediately go out and they want to tell it. They want to tell the world about it. Okay, so they do something totally different. So the greatest teamwork in the world is actually when you have a simplifier and a multiplier. And Babs and I are completely, I'll give you an indication of this. I have a cell phone. 3 people have my number. 3 people have my number. Okay. Yeah. And Babs is one of them. My limousine driver is another one. And the guy who cuts my hair is the third one. But nobody else has my cell phone. You have to go through somebody. I have an assistant, and you have to go through the assistant. Don't get directly to me. Even my relatives don't have my cell phone. They have to go through
You're
somebody else.
hardcore. That's hardcore.
Yeah.
He's-
Babs probably talks to 25 people a day, 25 people a day, and she's checking in and she said, I got this idea and everything like this. So the beauty of simplifier multiplier, not in a million years do I want to spend one day that she does doing what she does, and she doesn't want to spend one day doing what I do, but together we've got it all covered. So back to simplifiers. Simplifiers are incredible. Any complex situation you have, say, just go in there and kind of figure it out and let's simplify this before we start it. And they love it. Multipliers don't want to fool around with any idea. They just want to get the idea out to the world. So I've really learned, really that, and the other thing is that, let's say there's 3 people. I'm a simplifier. There's a multiplier, and there's another simplifier. And I get kind of ticked off about that because what's that other simplifier doing here? You only need one simplifier. You don't need 2 simplifiers. Multipliers are a little more complex. They like being around other multipliers, but they don't want to be multiplying in the same way. Some people are multipliers through technology. Some people are multipliers through what they write. Some people are multipliers by who they hang out with. So if you put 2 or 3 multipliers together and they don't compete with each other, they actually are very, very good. But simplifiers don't need another simplifier. They don't need another simplifier. Here's the trouble spot. It's when a simplifier tries to be a multiplier and when a multiplier tries to be a simplifier. And in both cases, they end up as complicators.
Yeah. So true.
So true.
Yeah. Now, I like Linda. Linda is a pure multiplier. I mean, her shadow hadn't even darkened the doorway, and I knew Linda was a multiplier. I mean, if it moves, Linda will talk to it.
Especially if I can make a deal happen with it or something.
Yeah.
Something with it, then I'm going to talk.
What about you, Dana? What would you say you are?
Multiplier, like off the charts. Yeah.
I kind of gather that.
I have to have a simplifier in my life or things get very chaotic.
And it's very important if you think about, like marriage, that the problem is if you have 2 multipliers, nothing new gets created. If you have 2 simplifiers together, nothing ever goes out to impact the world. And so I would say that, and they don't teach this in school, they don't teach this in school. And I haven't seen any business course that really teaches this. But the moment I say it to people, they say, that's really true. That's really, really true.
Yeah. Real quick, Nick, last question I want to ask, because in our Leadership Academy yesterday, this is where we brought up the topic of simplifier multiplier. Yep. There was probably 40% simplifiers, 60% multipliers. So my question to you, because I know it's going to be their burning question, is if you were a simplifier and you were in a sales position, what would you do? I know what a multiplier is. They should get a simplifier in their life. So should a simplifier go find a multiplier to work the business with them?
Yeah. Definitely, especially, it's sales, but it's teams that make the difference. It's not one or the other that makes the difference. It's when they team up that really makes a difference. And what's neat about the last 12 months, and I've really taken to Zoom like a fish to water, I mean, I just say, I know we're going to go back to in person. I said, and I'll be polite about it, but I have to tell you, this Zoom world I love so much.
Yeah.
And because the technology itself is a multiplier. So when you get team members who are multipliers, but you have a technology we're now a worldwide organization. I mean, think of your reach, Linda, in the and you're right in the sweet spot of the middle of the United States is really the sweet spot for the next 25, 30 years. And, I mean, so that's going to fill in, all the, between like Pennsylvania and Colorado, that whole area is going to fill in. So this is just a beautiful time. And, there's so many people who it doesn't really matter where they live because the Zoom lets them work. So you're going to see, I think you're going to see the growth of, let's say 50 to 75,000 people in small cities where they have new schools and they have new hospitals. And there's two things there's three things Americans really, really like. One of them is they like real estate.
Mhm.
Okay. They want real estate and they want to have neighbors, but not too close. Okay. The other thing is they like driving. Americans really, really like driving. They like driving around. And the other thing Americans do, they always buy more than they can store in their house. So they need storage and everything. Yeah. Just see where all the new self-storage places are going in the United States, and where the real estate is going to go.
Great.
That's a great question. Yeah.
Oh, no, it is. I mean, and it's, it's in Oklahoma, it's in, it's all through the middle area because the land's cheaper, on the coast, it's very expensive, but in the middle and, lots of energy and, everything's really good about it. So it's a great time. It's a great time right now.
What was your third country? I know Canada and North America, but you said 3 countries.
Yeah, UK. We're in London, and so that's Europe. Yeah, we're in London. Yeah, so we have about 250, 300
Wow.
British, and then we get the continent more and more. We're getting, European continent. It comes as far as South Africa goes to London, India goes to London, Dubai goes to London. So that's there, and in Canada, we have Toronto. In the U.S., we have Chicago and Los Angeles. Those are our,
all great places, man.
Well, they're hubs. You pretty well get there with one plane flight from almost anywhere. So that's what we look for. And they're, big entertainments. People would go and spend a couple of days. They'll bring their spouse with them, on some of the trips. So they like that. But we've been closed down from all of that for a year now. So we'll see where it goes.
Awesome. Yeah. Dan, we just want to say, thank you so much. We appreciate it. I can't wait to see you tomorrow again on Zoom. And if you're interested, you can text to the number 44222, the words who, not how. And we're going to link you to actually a link I have with Dan and get you a scorecard on who, not how. So Dan, I just want to say thank you. We appreciate you. Your knowledge is so appreciated and so needed in the real estate world. Wouldn't you say, Dana?
Yes, very much so. Yes, thank you.
And Dana, real pleasure to meet you. And Linda, we'll see you. I got new tools. For you. So
I'm ready. Yeah. I'm using the heck out of the old ones, but bring on the new. I'm a quick start. I like as much as possible.
Jimmy just had me order yesterday that latest book about innovation, not envy.
Yeah.
Is that it? Yeah. That should be in my mailbox hopefully in the next day or two. So I'm pumped to read that one.
Yeah. Well, it's I think that when you're born in the world, that's your deal, and there are people who just take the deal and play their cards right, and other people are constantly complaining that somebody else got a better deal. And I said, you never get happy that way, so just take the cards you have and play to win.
Love that. Absolutely. And if you're interested in Strategic Coach, reach out to strategiccoach.com or reach out to me at info@everything life and real estate. And I'll be happy to hook you up and just share with you the great things that Strategic Coach has done for me And I know you all know who Dan is and love him because I talk about him all the time. So Dan, thank you. And I'll see you on Zoom tomorrow.
You bet. Thank you very much.
Dan.
Be sure to subscribe for more business strategies and tactics to inspire you to live an abundant real estate life. Don't forget to rate and review so we can bring you the best content. Find this and other valuable information at everythinglifeandrealestate.com.